Hi there. Welcome to Apple World. Before I get started, just let me say I'm fine. It's wild to feel that we've gone from gossipy tidbits about Marjorie and Steve, separating to bits of gossip about Marjorie cheating. Furthermore, presently, the quick spreading of data shows that Marjorie is a deceiving accomplice. This may be much closer to home than we might have envisioned. No doubt, believe it or not, Steve Harvey's long-lasting guardian, who likewise fills in as Marjorie's protector, has purportedly been making a few dubious posts that suggest he's been playing with his supervisor's significant other. Be that as it may, we're going to figure out exactly how genuine it is. Keep close by in light of the fact that it seems as though Steve Harvey may be winding up at the focal point of an embarrassment, as Majorie Harvey's protector could be the one uncovering Marjorie's undertakings. How about we bounce directly into it out front with her sweetheart? When I saw her, I quit relaxing. Did Marjorie take part in extramarital entanglements? Steve Harvey, the notorious television personality known for his relationship exhortations, is right now managing the most obviously terrible sort of PR for a relationship master. In addition to the fact that individuals are thinking that his marriage is self-destructing, this outrage could likewise cause serious harm to his standing as a family man and experienced relationship master. The exciting ride of claims, issues, and coercion has most certainly grabbed our attention. Yet, before we get into the expected shakedown, we should investigate how everything began. This tumultuous adventure started with murmurs and unpretentious traces of betrayal that before long developed into a tempest of contention, thoroughly gulping Steve and additionally his better half, Majorie Harvey. The seeds of embarrassment were planted with the gossipy tidbits about an issue between Majorie Harvey and undoubtedly another individual. Furthermore, at first it seemed like the exemplary superstar couple show, where one accomplice is continually away and the other individual looks for solace or anything else they need beyond the marriage. Nonetheless, this wasn't simply an open and shut instance of supposed disloyalty. The outrage heightened to another level when murmurs of coercion started to flow. What's more, not simply shakedown from anybody, but coercion from somebody who knows probably the most profound and haziest things about the couple their protector, William Enormous Blast Freeman, the family guardian, has come up at the core of these claims, and it appears that he approaches unequivocal and cozy photographs of Majorie Harvey. It was likewise claimed that an enormous blast had requested an immense amount of cash to keep these compromising pictures out of the public eye. Furthermore, based on his Facebook posts about agony and connections, it seems like he knows something we don't. However, that wasn't the extent of the danger. William Freeman supposedly increased the stakes by taking steps to accomplish more than discolor Marjorie's standing. He supposedly promised to harm Steve Harvey's remaining status as both a family man and a relationship master by delivering these photographs. However, amidst the reports, claims, and possibilities, there's an intriguing connection between Marjorie's brilliant past and the chance of an outrage occurring among her and Enormous Blast, the protector. Furthermore, for those of you who don't have the foggiest idea, we should investigate Marjorie's life before she became Majorie Harvey, woman heroine from Memphis. As the show keeps spinning around Marjorie, fans have become more inquisitive about the previous existence she attempts to keep hidden. Before she turned into the glitzy and generous Mrs. Harvey, Marjorie had a daily existence loaded up with debates and problematic affiliations that at one point procured her the epithet woman heroine. Also, indeed, it positively sounds as terrible as he suspects. Both Marjorie and Steve have been married twice previously. They met one another and concluded that the third time was the charm. Yet, Marjorie's previous marriage and life before Steve were sensational to such an extent that she had a road name. Marjorie's absolute first spouse was Jim Townsend, a previous seller and one of Memphis City's greatest at that. What's more, supposedly in Memphis, Marjorie was not a sideline player in Townsend's dealings. As a matter of fact, she was in charge of a ton of things at that point. Steve Harvey initially met Marjorie while acting in Memphis in 1990. She was not yet hitched to Jim Townsend, yet Steve was promptly drawn to her, and he concluded that a little marriage never hits anybody. So he sought after her regardless of her conjugal status. What's more, in spite of the fact that they dated for some time, Marjorie supposedly severed things when Steve's monetary unsteadiness as a humorist, otherwise known as a striving craftsman, turned into a major issue in their relationship. In the meantime, around the same time, Jim Townsend's dealings began to find him, and ultimately he was condemned to life in jail in the last part of the 1990s. As per 2017 Radar report, Jim served nearly 30 years in jail after he endeavored to buy a measure of cocaine, gauging as much as a normal 12-year-old kid. However, Marjorie was never accused of wrongdoing. The entire case got to the talk factories in Memphis and remained there for some time. Presently, it makes this intriguing that a huge blast, otherwise known as the Protector, has as of late made a Facebook post relating to this. I believe darlings should understand that when you're enamored and carrying on with a criminal way of life, you can't tell your cherished one everything in light of the fact that eventually you're most likely going to separate, he composed. You might think the relationship is sleeping, however. When you separate, all that you've done in the relationship awakens the general population. So watch out for the mysteries you tell the individual you love that can land you in jail. Jim Thompson's sentence was life. What's more, that appears to be excessively unambiguous, truth be told. Marjorie, then again, immediately figured out that being a detainee's significant other wasn't the existence she needed to have, and the couple was isolated while Jim was imprisoned. In spite of the fact that Jim Townsend guaranteed they would stay in touch until she began seeing Steve Harvey once more. Furthermore, a couple of years after the fact, she became Majorie Harvey. We were lawfully married when I got captured. We lived in Memphis and had an extraordinary coexistence. Jim informed the Globe concerning his relationship with Marjorie. Yet that wasn't the end of the story for Marjorie. Passed in 2019, Townsend let Radar know that he invested a portion of his free energy in jail, composing a journal to be distributed after he was delivered by pardon. What's more, the subtleties of this book will incorporate his very emotional union with Marjorie, despite the fact that he hadn't finished it at the time of the meeting with Radar. Jim had prodded that it could drag Marjorie into the mud, yet she and Steve surely wouldn't allow that to end up harming the new characters they've assembled. So we're not saying they did anything. Be that as it may, Jim Thompson's book, Buzz, absolutely blurred into a fascinating silence. Also, that wasn't the initial occasion when a show from an ex undermined the connection between the two of them. Recall how we referenced that Steve was likewise hitched 2 times prior to getting hitched to Marjorie? All things considered, the show in those relationships wasn't as basic as one sentence. Steve Harvey had somewhat of a reputation as a chronic miscreant. What's more, during his most memorable marriage, which was to a lady named Marcia, he undermined her, and afterward he finally wed the other lady, Mary. Yet, similar to the wheels on the transport, Steve kicked around once more and went off, going behind Mary's back with various ladies, among whom was Marjorie. Regardless of Mary's earnest attempts to hold her family together and disregard every one of the signs, the inescapable separation occurred, and before it was conclusive, Steve had supposedly removed her from her home and taken care of their child Winton. At the point when I pondered how rapidly he pushed ahead from me to Marjorie, I figured the least he could do was restore me toward its finish. Presently, the most fascinating part with regards to this is the way that Steve, in the long run, got hitched to Marjorie and embraced every last bit of her more seasoned youngsters, giving them his last name and lawful privileges. What was so unique about Marjorie and her children that Steve Harvey guaranteed them a place where the vast majority genuinely accepted that Lori was his organic kid? We might, in all likelihood, never have a response to that. But one thing is truly clear. Marjorie knows the game like the back of her palm, and marrying Steve Harvey without a prenup and giving her kids his last name shows that she was most certainly in it for the long stretch. Furthermore, presently, it seems as though the gig is up. Large blast. The Cupid Guardian recall how we referenced that Steve and Marjorie had dated momentarily prior to reconnecting? While you won't ever accept who played Cupid in their romantic tale, William's enormous blast Freeman, believe it or not, the family guardian at the focal point of the contention is a similar individual who assumed a crucial role in reconnecting Steve and Marjorie after many years separated. As the subtleties of the supposed undertaking and shakedown plan kept on arising, some started to conjecture that Marjorie and the Protector could have arranged this illicit relationship and the ensuing coercion. For a really long time, the thought of a painstakingly coordinated connivance added a layer of mystery and interest to a previously confounding circumstance. Steve himself was the person who conceded that the large blast was instrumental to the gathering among him and Marjorie. After his separation in 2005, Steve Harvey reconnected with Majorie Harvey because of his guardian. He told me, "Look, the only time I've possibly seen you cheerful was at the point at which you were with that lady, Marjorie. Presently, before you proceed to accomplish something inept and wed another lady, I'm calling her the television has told individuals." And keeping in mind that it might sound charming to his protector to be so worried about his joy, everything falls together altogether all without any problem.